Now, what is your view overall on gynecomastia? Now, I did a video series and I spoke about how I felt you were a very honest doctor and that you weren't overcharging patients because of just the ability that you have the ability to overcharge patients. What's your view? Why do you feel like some doctors charge large amounts of money? What do you feel is a fair price for this procedure? And kind of go ahead and just dabble in that a little bit.
Well, part of that is based on the patient and what they can tolerate having done under straight, local, awake, what if they're a type that's kind of squirmish about needles and wants to be asleep in the operating room. Once you move to the operating room, you usually add about $1,500 to any fee because you're in the office, in the operating room. My opinion is that in the office, there isn't much expense, so the price should be made appropriate for that. The actual removal of the cyst, as you know, isn't particularly complicated if you have experience with it. It takes maybe an hour, maybe a little bit longer, because usually you're right on that muscle and you want to make sure nothing's bleeding. So you'd say an hour procedure. In the office, I feel $3,000 is a reasonable fee. In the OR, I think $4,000 is a reasonable fee. Those match what I think for an hour of surgical time. I do a lot of different surgery. That's about what I make for an hour of surgical time. So that's how I look at it. I think you see a big array of prices because within any field, there's kind of this one price fits all concept of my gynecomastia surgery is $8,000. Well, that might be for a large breast where you're doing lipo, where you're spending 2.5 or 3 hours in the operating room, lipoing, doing some lifting, doing a lot of procedures. It's clearly much different than the bodybuilder. So for me, I consider the bodybuilders to be a fairly easy, predictable group of patients. They're usually not very difficult to deal with. I make their incision, I take the tissue out, takes me an hour or so. I like them to take it easy for a couple days, and I feel that $3,000 in the office, $4,000 in the OR is a pretty fair price.